Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to another edition of Old Reader, New Reader. I'm Amanda. We have Omar and Maddie with us as well, as usual. And as you guys know, today we are going to be talking about Joe Hill's Locke and Key. So, just to give you a quick synopsis of this six-volume set, basically it starts out with the Locke family who who move into their father's old manor, Lovecraft, following his tragic death, and it centers around the three children, Kinsey, Tyler, and Bode, and their mother Nina. And when they get to Lovecraft Manor, they start to uncover basically hundreds of years old mystery surrounding the house, and these certain keys they find within the house that unlock certain mysteries and special powers and abilities, and of course the horror element of it all that we find out pretty much right away when we were reading this series. So just to kick things off, let me give you my overall thoughts and feelings on it before we'll get to Maddie then in a second. When I first started reading this, I thought it was going to be, I expected horror because that's what everyone said. But what I wasn't expecting were all the themes about loss and the power of family, and, you know, the loss of childhood innocence and things like that. So it became a lot deeper to me as I read on. I really enjoyed this one. This is probably one of my favorite reads that we've done, and I probably would read it again if I get the chance when I'm not bombarded with other stuff. I loved it, and it was a great read to start with. What about you, Maddie? What do you think?
Yeah, I loved it. But I love the horror genre. Like I love all the gore in it too, and the style was really cool too. Yeah, the characters were really great, and honestly, just seeing how they reacted to all these situations and how they chose to deal with it. They deal with a lot of adult issues and themes. A lot of their own growth through tragedy, and to see that, it's always nice to see a horror story that has a lot of other elements to it, right?
Yes.
So you have all these awful things happening around them, but you really see this family grow through, and not just like, they're one way, then the tragedy happens and they're another way. They continue to have different moments and arcs in their own um, transformation and growth as people as the story goes. And you can visibly see that change too. And I think that's a testament to the writer and the artist, because you don't always see
Yes.
that in books either. Like maybe the character makes a transformation on the inside, but it's not a visible change. But it is very much a visible change throughout, whether that be the person's style or haircut or any sort of thing like that. And not just with them, but also maybe the villains of the story have their own kind of thing as well. But um, and honestly, all something I like about this book that I like about a lot of stories that I really like is that um, every character is very well rounded and dynamic,
Agreed.
um, and that's always nice to see. And I think for a horror story, you don't always require that. It can still be a very good story with a mystery. You don't need um, every character to feel well defined. But I left that story feeling like I knew a good portion about every single character in that story.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love it. I totally recommend it. It's going to be made into a TV show, finally, I
Very
guess.
excited.
But I've got picked up by Netflix. So I think it definitely lends itself to that. And I think once it's released as a show, I think it's definitely going to blow up popularity wise. I think people run to read the book.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah, I think when you touched upon the idea of the horror genre and when it has these well-developed characters and you see growth, that reminds me a little bit of, you know, how the remake of It blew up, and it wasn't necessarily because of the It factor, because after you saw the clown so many times, it lost its, you know, scare appeal, at least to me, and I'm terrified of things like that. But what really compelled and drew me into that story, just like this story, were the characters, the young children, and how they grew over time and what happened to them. And I think that's the same for this story too. And the other thing that really drew me to this story was the fact that there's this like I'm all about family histories and family mysteries that expand like decades and years and years, and that the fact that their mystery began all the way back in the Revolutionary War, one of my favorite time periods. I could always watch a movie or read a book about that time period and love it. So the fact that it started there and moved all the way up to, you know, the 2000s, that was probably one of my favorite things about it. I love seeing mysteries like that unfold over time and seeing how these kids have to deal with this legacy that not only their father left them, unbeknownst to them, but also their forefathers. I just found that really compelling.
All right, so Omar, how did this hold up? This is your third time reading it.
Yes.
Yeah.
What's been your journey through? Because you read it as it was going on, also, and we read it all.
We just read it one sitting almost.
So I was reading it as they were coming out because a friend of mine was huge into this book. He was like, "Oh, you gotta read it," and I did, and I think part of it, reading it monthly, kind of made me a little bored towards the middle. Because if you all know, like each one of these, by the way, this conversation is going to be with spoilers, just as a heads up. Because each one of these comic books just about ends on a cliffhanger. But then there's the middle part where they're all collecting the keys and things like that. And so I got a little bored. And then I think I finished it out like a year after it wrapped up. And then I ended up getting the hardcovers because my brother went on this whole spiel about how much he loved this. And I was like, yeah, I don't remember really loving it. I remember really liking it. Maybe I should read it again in trade format. And I did. And I freaking loved it. It read better in this collected edition format. Now they're available in trade paperback and in hardcovers, and also the master edition, which there are 3 of those big books. And I kind of want to upgrade. I have this really nice box set, and I'm kind of an idiot and known for double dipping, but that might be worth it. I did not know who this guy, Joe Hill, was, and I did not know who the artist was, Gabriel Rodriguez, but I fell in love with both of them after my second time. My third time reading it was still just as fun because I really enjoyed it. I like the aspects of the keys again, and I like how brutal it was from the beginning. I mean, their father gets killed in the first issue. Yeah. You know, and he doesn't get killed like, oh, it's a car accident or a heart attack. No, he gets brutally murdered by a group of people, and you don't know what's going on. And that's the beauty of
teenagers. Yeah, it's
well, and that's the beauty of books like this. It's like, wait, what's happening? Why are these guys going around killing people? Why is that little kid evil? Who's this bitch in the well? You have all these questions that don't get answered until much later, and I love that about this book.
Yeah, they super just throw you in the beginning. It's just like, here's the house. Oh, now your dad's murdered. Now you're at the funeral. Now you're at this new house. And you're like, I don't even. And it's kind of nice and kind of also disorienting, I'm sure, for like new readers when you first get into it, because you're like, whoa.
But isn't that also how they would feel too, disoriented with how the whole process works?
Oh yeah, for sure.
There, like, so that's awesome the way he did it that way, because you almost could sense that's how they would feel. So now we feel that way. It's great.
And we, the reader, have as much information about anything as they do.
You're just as lost as the family is.
Yeah.
So one thing I remember, I was like, when I first started reading the series, I was like, there's no way in hell this guy's art style can pull off horror or creepy. Because to me, it seemed really cartoonish. He has a very Arthur Adams, Nick Bradshaw kind of art style.
Yeah.
But it works. Like, it works in the way that manga works, like some horror manga aspects. Like, like almost a cartoonish look to his art, but then like the creepy stuff, really creepy. That's awesome. I love that.
That's one of my favorite,
So
it gave me nightmares. I'm not even gonna lie. I read one of the issues at night right before bed, and I kept seeing the face of that demon, like, because just the angles of how he was drawn, whether or not he was, spoilers, Luke / Dodge or the female, or, you know, just the way he's drawn, the angles and stuff of his face, his eyes, it would stay with me. Those images stay with me, and that's probably because of my overactive imagination, but it still stayed with me.
Yeah, there are some really dark images in here. Like, and I remember looking at these, like the chick in the well, I'm like, she's pretty hot, but pretty creepy too. like in The
Yeah.
Howling Part 2, that chick.
She looks very anime.
Yes.
And I feel like her and, I mean, well, both genders of him
Yes.
are,
That's not a
it's
spoiler,
such an anime look to him. Like, for
yeah,
me.
this is what I meant, like this, like creepy, right? Same character and
Yes.
stuff. So there's this whole mystery.
Oh, and when you found out who that is. Oh.
Right. Yeah, there's this whole mystery in this house and the keys and collecting these keys and what it is. And you're right. I love the family. That's who I really, really like.
Which, and I think it's important that we like the family, especially given how in the final battle with the demon, and he basically reveals to Kinsey, it's not that he wants an army, he wants family, because the power of family, right? Because they can, withstand anything and they can overcome anything. That's what he wants, is to make himself a demon family. Like, yeah. So if we didn't have a good family to latch onto.
But the whole story really starts back in the American Revolution. That's where everything kind of begins. But you don't find that out. I think it's not until Volume 5 that you find out.
I think so. Yeah, Volume 5 is where they tell the main story, because they find that clock key.
Yeah, and everything gets told about, like, they're able to find this portal that leads into another dimension, and that's where the house kind of falls in, and everything is explained, and I absolutely love that about this book. Except Maddie brought up something that I cannot remember, because one of my favorite characters. Oh, wait! Before I love this page. I love the artwork. It's so detailed.
Seeing their play, that's beautiful.
Yeah. Who's my boy? Rufus? Is that his name?
Rufus, yes. Rufus.
The kid with the mental, like, he has a mental disability, right? But he also, I relate a lot to that guy. He collects toys and plays with them, and he has this power, and he's able to see things.
You see the ghost.
Yeah. So, and they don't really go. They don't ever talk about why. It can be assumed it's because of
Rufus,
disability,
he's able to see.
And they don't say what his disability is either, which is fine. But spoilers. I mean, okay, so there's a key that unlocks people's heads, and you're able to see what's in there, and you can take out thoughts or put in thoughts, emotions, things like that. And that plays a big part to there. And the enemy or the villain uses that a lot to take out memories of him or disable his opponents in some way. And he goes to use it on Rufus one night, and there is no keyhole for him to put it in there, which is not the case with everybody else. So they never talk about why. And then Rufus also has that ability to see ghosts and other things that other people would not be able to see. And he's also very aware and very intelligent.
That's why I kept thinking he has autism or something like that.
I think so.
Because, or some type of Asperger's. And that's where I think, because his mind, whenever they always say their mind's different, right? And that might be half the reason why it doesn't work on him as it would an average human, because his mind is different, and that's why it doesn't work. And I keep thinking about, they keep talking about throughout the entire series that once you're an adult, you don't remember anything. And I keep thinking the reason he could see everything is not only because his mind's different, because it's already different, but also because he's very much innocent, like a child. He's always going to be a child, and he's very innocent like a child, or as a child. And so I think that's why he's able to see more than everyone else can see just by his naked eye. I think it has something to do with that. That's
I could definitely see it. Like, I could definitely see how, because his brain is wired differently, it unlocks like that sixth sense.
Yeah,
if we were going to see, there we go. Because that would explain maybe why he can see ghosts. Something about the way his thing is wired makes him more
attuned to it.
Attuned, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
that would be what I would get from it, and that could be just a talk. That could be a commentary on how people who have those disabilities, they just see the world differently. It's not that they're wrong or not right. It's just they see the world differently. And I'm not going to get on that soapbox. But that could be one of the themes or something that they're trying to say in that. It's just that he just sees it differently, and that's why he's able to see everything, because of his how different he is. So,
and I think that's the way I took it. I agree with that.
Yeah.
I have to mention that this is one of my all-time favorite issues, the Sparrow issue, where done in a Calvin and Hobbes kind of style.
Oh, but the way that ends.
Oh yeah, of course.
Oh yeah, it's so brutal. Honestly, so much of what Bode goes through is very brutal, and it's
Like, you
very
feel
interesting
so
to
bad
have
for
him
I
him.
do.
in there.
That poor kid, and that's just another one of those. Why have a little kid like that going through all this?
But I think it makes the payoff at the end worth it and better.
I do. I agree.
Because I will say that this is one of those few books that is written in this style that has a kind of a really happy ending. Honestly,
I was surprised by that. I wasn't expecting it to have the ending it had. Can we talk about that?
Yeah,
sure,
we're spoiling it.
Yeah, we're spoiling everything else. So
I think by
you know,
now,
we knew that Bode, you know, was a ghost hanging out, and then when they killed the demon, you know, he essentially his body died, and we didn't know, you know, what had happened. We thought he was lost forever. So the fact that Tyler was able to, you know, come back and realize he could fix it, and he did fix it. I was so shocked by it. And then Rufus gets to live with them. I was like, this is the best ending ever.
right? And that's
I
after
mean, yes,
that
some
horrible-
teenagers died in the
Yeah,
process,
only like
but
7
Yeah.
teenagers.
Yeah, I was gonna say, wait a minute, you forgot about the rough
yeah,
time. All the kids
No.
that their friends that
But-
got powers for a little while ended
Those
up.
teenagers should
dying.
know they're in a horror movie. You know what I
yes,
mean?
they don't
There's
go to a cave.
all these deaths happening. Don't get drunk after going to a cave. You're obviously in a horror movie. You did this to yourself. I'm victim blaming there. I don't care. They should know better.
Effectively, don't go.
Oh,
They're-
I remember taking. I remember it was rough for me when I was reading it, and I had forgotten about the ending the second time around. I didn't this
Yeah.
time, the third time. But I remember like this page. I'm like, oh, that's not fair. Like, you know, when
yes,
he dies,
it's
and then
not
they
fair.
have a funeral for him, and it's horrible. I'm like, this is his little brother. They're having a funeral. This book sucks. And then, you know, we get the twist at the end, like you all said, that he's able to, and everything comes together. Like the whole family is reunited, and it is
Oh,
beautiful.
it's so what? And then he has that touching tribute with his dad, and yeah, I mean that's what I think. When we talked about the characters and their development, mine that I found most compelling was Kinsey's, and how she like dealt with her grief, and how learning like when she took her fear and her sadness out of her, and how she learned how she was hurting other people and stuff. I mean,
yes.
that to me, that was just, and she realized she had to learn to live with it. I think her growth was one of my favorite in the entire series. Yeah, I enjoyed hers.
Especially with how it helped her to understand her mother more.
Yes.
Because she was very much on this soapbox the whole time.
Ooh, she was.
You know, and then like her going through everything that she went through, everything that she did while she didn't have fear, which is a good like metaphor for what you do after somebody dies anyways, because a lot of people do shut down that way. I mean, they don't literally take that out of them, but like but similarly, right, they shut down, they do things that normally they would do, and they're not afraid of stuff anymore because they're just trying to cope. But anyways, after the end of that, when she, you know, she really messes up, all of her fears and everything comes back, and then she's like, what have I been doing? Like, my mom is having issues, sure, but like we all are, and I didn't even try to help her at all. But that's for all of them too, because I mean, not really Bode, but Tyler's journey through his grief.
I thought Tyler had it really rough because he's mourning for everybody.
Yeah. And he has that guilt on him. Remember, he has the guilt because
for his father, right?
He's told Sam. Yeah, and so even though he didn't mean it, we know he didn't mean it. He was upset, but of course Sam was being influenced, and so it's to see how Tyler has to deal with that. Man, that has
and he murdered that guy.
Yeah, and he murdered that guy. Yeah, I mean like a teenager.
Well, I mean, the guy was trying to kill him.
Well, yeah, but even if that still stays with you, regardless.
That's self-defense. He killed his dad. Like what his mom?
Yeah, but he's still gonna feel traumatized by smashing that guy's head in with a brick.
Okay, I see what you mean.
He hasn't been properly trained to handle that. He wasn't in the military where they're like, you might have to kill someone one day. He wasn't expecting it. It wasn't something that he was expecting to happen in his life.
I take back my statement. Okay, I remember reading these and I was like, oh, the head key's my favorite. That's awesome. You can make people forget about the argument you just had. Done.
I do like how they bring all the keys back, and like when they introduce most of the keys, or like I think all of them, in some way you get to see them again. Like I don't remember her name, the lady who, the black lady who was with Rendell and all of them back in the 80s.
Aaron,
yes, and how we realized that he had taken all her memories out. And, just to get rid of them so she wouldn't remember. And that's what left her the way she was. And then they came back because you can't kill a thought. What Kinsey said, you can't kill a thought. Oh, that was genius. Ah, what a great line. You're right. You can't. Oh, see?
It was great. I loved their little story too. And I love stories that do that. I mean, it almost like feels Harry Potter-esque, right? Because you get kind of like little peeks of how the parents and that crew used to be back in the day, and then you get the full picture, and it's like, oh,
sins of the father and all
sins
that.
Of the father, it is. Yes,
that's what it is. Yeah, I love those scenes. I'm trying to find the one of my favorite pictures while you all were talking. It's during the head games. It's when he opens up the boat's head and he's taking out all the pieces. I thought the way that it was done and the angle and everything was beautiful. But the art in here it keeps getting better and better. And I will ask you all, since now we can talk, like, this is probably known. This is definitely my top 10 favorite horror stories. Were you all freaked out at any point? Like, what was it that freaked you all out, or what was it that was scary or creepy to you all? This awesome fight.
I think
when he gets big.
When he gets big and starts fighting the shadow creatures.
What a great surprise. That was wonderful.
Like, these keys are so badass. This would make a good role-playing game.
I think when she comes out of the well, that creeped me out the first time. That wasn't just that whole scenario. And maybe the shadows when they first attacked, when he had put the crown on. So maybe those scenes, but I wasn't necessarily, shocked or surprised by anything or super scared. Just had that creepy feeling throughout, mainly because of, like I said, the look of the villain. He was just creepy.
I will tell you, one of the most heart-wrenching scenes for me is when the mom discovers that she can bring things back with the little box. And she brings back the plates, and she realizes she has her husband's ashes. So she's getting drunk, and like, what is she going to do? Is she going to do it? Is she going to put the ashes in there to turn the key and bring her husband back? It's a question of morale and stuff. What would you do? I thought that was drawn beautifully, and no questions asked, right? Of course.
Yeah, I mean, in that situation, 100%. And it was so sad that it didn't work, but also it did. And so that part was nice. Because you couldn't bring him back because his body wasn't there.
Yeah, it's all ash.
It did heal his soul. So that's really nice.
That is really nice. And that gave
him the key.
Tyler, gave him the key,
So it's a wonderful read. I hope everybody that's listening has already read it, because we've talked about aspects that make it amazing, Yeah. Yeah, I think this is probably my favorite. Second favorite issue, next to Sparrow.
My boy
Rufus.
We talked about it before we started, but I was surprised and happy that Rufus ended up taking on the role that he took in the series. I didn't know, like, what was the purpose of keep showing Ellie's son? What was the purpose? And then because he kills Ellie, and I'm like, well, why do we still see this kid around? And then I realized, because he sees things, and now he's the one who's going to be the one to end everything, if you will. he's going to save the day, and I thought that was wonderful.
He's the hero of the day.
He was the hero.
He's the Neville Longbottom.
He cuts the head off the snake.
Look how excited Amanda got when you made that Harry Potter reference
but
there.
It's true, because he's
It
just
is
like
true.
the one you're not thinking about, but he really did save the day. And also, I loved reading any of Neville's parts. Neville. Rufus.
Love it.
Rufus's parts, because of his, like, the way he sees everything, where he's, like, in war. Like, I
love
thought
that.
so cool, because he sees himself as this big action hero. And it was always so cute. I was always, like, rooting for him. I was like, come on.
And then he puts his mom in one of the action heroes, and she's with him.
Oh, God. Poor Rufus.
Hell yeah, that was badass. I remember hating the bad guy so much in this book.
Oh, he's very, very convincing.
Right, it's one of those characters like Joffrey, or who's the villain in Harry Potter?
Voldemort?
No.
Draco Malfoy?
The teacher that everybody hates.
Snape.
I love him, so excuse me.
And I like Snape too.
Okay, everybody calm the hell down. I'm not talking about Snape.
Umbridge? Who are you talking about?
Thank you, Umbridge. Yeah,
Umbridge.
one of those characters that you just love to hate. Good Lord, both of you. I love Snape, you stupid fucker. Yeah, I wasn't talking about Snape. You two need to calm down.
Well.
But yes, that's who he reminded me of, those characters. Because he's just so evil, and I'm like, oh, come on, man. We're only on book 3, and I already hate you, and we got 3 more books to go.
Man,
I know,
he
he's
is
so
just
good from the beginning. I mean, he's just the worst. And then when he starts dating Kinsey, I'm like, girl.
So gross. I just was like, oh yeah, I'm happy she ended up with Jamal, because, so gross.
Yeah, me too. Well, that was so interesting and not like what I expected, because as soon as she met them, she's like, I don't care what you're doing. Like, I'm just hanging out with my friends. Whatever. I was like, whoa. Everyone had no problem ditching him, which made it so good, because he's this very cool guy. Like, I mean, you don't expect that at all. Like, you think everybody's going to keep fawning all over him.
Yeah.
And there's so many instances where they're just like, whatever, bye. It's great.
I know.
Also, Kinsey's friends were really good characters. They were really fun.
Yes, and I hated
Scott and Jamal, and I know.
Like, it wasn't fair, right? And it wasn't fair, like, because I don't think they got the proper send off. Because it's not like a super heroic, what you're used to kind of reading in books or seeing in movies. I mean, they get like a page.
I thought that was clever the way they did it. They died inside of them, and they were made of that iron. So then they, I thought that was really clever.
Rough.
Yeah.
It was rough.
Just seeing him lying there.
Well, the image of Scott and Jackie, is that the two of them? And when he finally frees her, and that was beautiful.
Right there.
Yeah. That's what I'm talking about. Great.
It was rough to read that, but it was really pretty, because that's overshadowed by the death of Bode, who in the end didn't even really die. He came back.
Exactly.
Now, what would you guys rate this series?
Hold on, I think I need to sneeze.
Okay.
I really thought it was coming. I would give this a 10 out of 10. I loved it. I would reread it. I cannot wait for the Netflix series to come out. 10 out of 10, 100%. This is probably one of my favorite reads we've done.
Awesome.
If not my favorite. I love this one.
If not your favorite. Wow, more so than God Country and Day Tripper, huh?
Yeah, I think this is, Mm-hmm. I'm all about coming of age stuff too, so. And that had the elements. That might be it.
What about you, Maddie? What would you give it?
I think I do the same. I don't have any. There's nothing I really didn't like about it. It was very consistent. It was very well written.
Yeah.
Something I always really like seeing is character growth. Like I said, the spooky elements were great. Again, a very believable villain. He did his job for sure. And also, I mean, there's more to him than just being what I thought he was, even at the end.
Yes.
I didn't think he could be saved. I assumed he was always a bad guy, but he wasn't. I really liked it.
So 10 out of 10 for you too?
Yes, 10 out of 10.
For Maddie? You're answering for Maddie?
Yeah. No, well, she just said it. And it looks like we got some people in the chat who also gave it 10 out of 10 too. So
good, because I gave it a 2 out of 10. This book sucked.
Oh,
I'm just kidding. Jess is in the chat. I just wanted to make fun of him. No, this
oh,
is
Jess doesn't like it.
no, he loves it. This is
Oh,
like one of his favorite reads. This was nice. This was a nice reread. It's definitely one of my top horror stories, and yeah, I think it still holds up after the third time I read it. Definitely a 10 out of 10. It's
Yeah.
great. I'm glad you all went that way.
Some people in the comments are saying that Joe Hill said that if the show was picked up, there would be more comics with the original artist.
Well,
That'd be awesome.
there was a one shot that came out like in 2016. Like, I'm not kidding. I think it was 24 pages. And then IDW decided to bank on that and make it into a hardcover last year and charge you like $25. And I'm like, no,
Wow.
thanks. I think I asked Jess and he said he owns it. What does Omar give Harry Potter?
That's a good question. What do you wait? The books, not the movies.
I wasn't. Oh man.
He never. I don't think he's read them yet.
I have read them. Thank you.
Okay, as many times as I've read them.
No one has read them as many times as you read them.
That's not true.
Okay, maybe J.K. Rowling. I
I
don't
was about to say not true.
Man, I don't know. I wasn't the biggest Harry Potter fan. I wish I was, because I tell you what, and we'll
Good
go back
on
to
you,
Locke.
Tyler.
I wish I had grown up with the books, because I feel like I love the way that they're written, and each one gets more mature. That by the time you get to the last one, it's just a completely different book. I wish I had grown up with Harry, but I didn't. I was already grown up.
Oh, that's a shame.
Holy shit! God Country #1 is selling for $175.
That's insane. Why? Is there a reason?
Did someone
They
say that
bought
they're
the
making
movie.
a movie?
Oh,
Yeah.
they're making a movie of it. Okay.
Oh, and
That'd be why.
Donnie Cates is writing the screenplay. Oh shit, that's awesome.
Well, that's gonna be good.
Well, let's get ready to go cry in theaters together.
Yeah, let's.
I'll make an so I cry all the time when I watch things at home or read things. I mean, just lose it. But if I'm around friends or in a movie, I don't. But I'll make an exception for that one. We can all go together.
We can all cry together.
cry.
And I will just sob the entire time.
Oh man, I can't. I'm already thinking of the cast. But anyway, back to Locke Key. And holy shit, Philip Evans gave Harry Potter the books 95 out of 10.
That's incredible.
That's not even real. That can't be real, Philip. No, the
Count.
book is that good.
Count, Philip.
Maybe he meant to put a period. It's okay. I would give them 95 out of 10 too. They're phenomenal books.
And the movie's 8 out of 10, 9.5. We knew what you
Wow.
meant. So Locke Key, do we know who is headlining that show? Besides, all we know right now is just Netflix, right? Because I'm gonna tell you,
No
you guys,
casting announcements.
the perfect guy to be the showrunner is a
Who?
gentleman by the name of Frank Darabont.
Oh, that would be good.
Because Frank Darabont,
You mean the guy, the original showrunner for Walking Dead?
yeah, but that's not why I know him. Like he has
Okay.
everything that he has done by Stephen King has been amazing. Like every adaptation, and I know they're like The Mist is one of those movies that people either love or hate.
Wait,
But-
that's the one, the modern one, the one with not Marsha. Is it Marsha Gay Harden?
I know that the Punisher was in it.
Yes. Okay, that's the movie I'm talking about. Yeah, she was the Bible thumper
Okay.
lady.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, okay.
But he changed the ending of that from the original ending of the book, and Stephen King wrote him a letter saying, "You were able to freak me out. Well done." And I think I don't know, every adaptation that he's done of as far as books, it's just been amazing. And I know he's working on something right now, but it'd be great to have
Do
him
you
as
want
a
to know
showrunner.
who the executive producer is? Because they have the executive producer is Andy Muschietti.
What's Andy Machete done?
Well, he was the original.
Machete.
He was the original pilot for the 2011. He was the director of that original pilot. And if my thing would work, he has done. Oh, thank God. At first, I got scared because it said he was hired to do the reboot of the Mummy franchise. And I was like, no, but he left the project. He left the project. It's okay.
So what's he done since then?
Let's see.
Because I think the book.
Mama, the supernatural horror Mama. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Okay.
That was the short that they made into a long movie. The short was freaky. I don't know if you'll ever seen the Spanish short. Huh, that's interesting. Okay. Oh, that could be good. Because it really depends on how well your showrunner is. This could be a phenomenal series.
Exactly.
He directed both It movies.
Oh, there we go. Oh, you're right. He did. Then okay, then I'm in because like I just said in the beginning of this, I loved the first one.
All right, you
super excited for the second one.
put that guy as a producer, and you get Frank Darabont to be the showrunner.
There we go.
There, match made in heaven.
Yes.
And you get Stephen King. By the way, you all knew that Joe Hill was Stephen King's son, right? I didn't know.
Yeah.
If you knew that or not.
I heard he's kind of not very nice.
Yeah.
But that's okay. You don't have to be nice to write a book.
No, you don't. Yeah. Not everyone has
that's
to
where
be.
that's where you got to separate the artist from the art, Maddie.
Plenty of the people.
Oh yeah,
from,
no,
like,
he
the
did a
70s
fantastic job. So I'm like, hey, if you do what you gotta do,
yeah,
as
long as you write well, I don't care.
Huh.
Just don't go changing canon and stuff like J.K. Rowling. We're fine.
Another show for that.
Yeah, that's another show.
So 10 out of 10, everybody agrees. Lock and Key. That's a hell of a way to start off this Freaktober.
It is.
So, let's do another one. Let's do one next week. Let's do Uzumaki. I'm making an executive decision.
You'll have to send it to me because I don't have it.
I don't know if I can. That might be a problem. If not, we might have to go the route of Amazon. Uzumaki's a freaky manga, and it's one that you don't have to be a fan of manga to appreciate it. It's probably one of the most. It's Junji Ito, and to me, it's one of the freakiest books I've read. Like, he's got other freakier stuff, I think, but I think that's a good one. That it's not, without sounding stereotypical, it's not too Japanesey in the way that they do their manga. I think people like Amanda that has never read a manga.
That's not true.
What? Okay. I'm sorry.
Well, I mean, like, Corey's had some of the Bleach manga, and I've read some of that.
Okay, I didn't know.
Back in, like, when I was a young girl, and it was a very small section in Barnes and Nobles, I picked up a, like, romantic manga once, and I read it. And then I could never find the rest of it because it was, like, a series, and I wanted to know what happened, and I never could find it. And I still know the name of it. It's a shame.
Okay.
I really enjoy it.
What's that?
Yeah.
I should ask you, babe. Like,
I'm sure Maddie could tell you.
Yeah. I read all of those.
Oh, see? There you go. I was like 10. If I can remember, then I'm going to tell you.
Okay. So Spiral for next week, next Tuesday. The 16th?
Spiral?
Yes. Is there a possibility we might have to push it back since that's my anniversary and I don't know what we have planned?
Are you asking me or telling me? Because you should tell me, probably.
Yeah, if we could push it back to like 9, that way.
Oh, yeah, we can even do it a different day if you wanted to.
Like on Wednesday or something?
Sure, or it's up to you. I know, Jess. I know you love manga. That's why I chose Uzumaki. You have that book, Jess. Read it. It's amazing. Maybe he has read it. He has read one of the Junji Ito books, and I can't recall if it's Uzumaki or Gyo, the fish one.
That one looks cool. That's the one. Is that the one where people turn into, like, instead of doing zombies, they turn into fish in Shibuya? I haven't read it, but I was hearing about something like that.
Oh, that's
okay.
Cool.
So Jess even said it was great. So he has
wow.
On the dog seal of approval.
There we go.
Okay, so that's decided. But what do we want to do the week after? Are we going to do one each week, or
depending on the read, how long it is?
Yeah, I'm trying to pick short books. Let's see. What does the chat think? What is it? I
just finished reading, or I'm almost done reading Rachel Rising, which is really good.
That's a good one. That is a really good one.
Oh my god, it's also so good.
That's Terry Moore, the guy that did Strangers in Paradise and Echo. So
and I love his art.
We could do that. We could do
after we do Uzumaki.
Yeah, after Uzumaki, we can do Rachel Rising for the 23rd, and then something.
And it's all on
Super Halloween for the.
So if you need to log in, Amanda, I can let you use mine to read it all because it's all on Comixology Unlimited.
Oh, is it okay? That'd be awesome. Yeah.
Hellboys are pretty short. Beautiful Darkness, you bastard. Jess, you poured root beer on that. You're not allowed to talk about that book anymore. I'm the one that liked Beautiful Darkness. It's creepy. Yes,
Should we
Tyler
do
Tripp.
Hellboy? Everyone's been suggesting Hellboy. Should we
I do want to read Hellboy.
Why don't we do a last one, especially since we got that first look of what's his name as Hellboy recently?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm down with Hellboy, but it's a okay. Do you guys just want to do the first volume of the library edition? Because there's three paperbacks collected in that first volume, and it's a good introduction.
If you think that's a good introduction, yeah, I say we do it on the week, the 30th. Is that when it is? Yeah,
that would be the 30th. Okay, so then we have Uzumaki for the 16th.
Mm-hmm.
And I've already forgotten the second choice. Rachel Rising.
Rachel Rising.
for the 23rd. And then on the 30th, we will do Hellboy Library Edition Volume 1 or Hellboy. See, I don't know how the omnibus is set up, but I'll get those. The only one that I may not be able to get for you two is Uzumaki to read. Because
where would we get it from then?
Amazon. Because I don't think...
Okay.
Does Viz have a app?
Oh, let me go to Amazon quick. Hold on.
Yeah, it looks like Amazon has a good deal for the 3-in-1 deluxe edition for about like $16.
Oh yeah, that's.
Oh yeah, it does. That's good.
So
I'll add it to my cart with my futon.
All right, so everybody got that? Uzumaki for the 16th, Rachel Rising for the 23rd. I need to get Jess on the show on the 16th if you'll join us, because he doesn't like manga at all, and I want to hear his opinion. If you two are cool with that.
Sounds good.
And then the 23rd will be Rachel Rising, and the 30th we'll do Hellboy Library Edition Volume 1, collecting the first 3 trades.
And I'll create a nice graphic and put it on all of our social media so you can remember it, everyone.
And I'm
excited now because I wanted to talk about Rachel Rising. I was just reading it for my own October stuff.
Yeah.
So.
No, good.
It's so good.
Yeah, Amanda, what is our social media stuff?
Yeah. So you guys can check us out on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at NearMintCon, and try to post regularly about all of the things that are going on with the channel. So keep up to date there. And I will post a reminder about all the different dates coming up for Old Reader, New Reader on there too.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Let's see. So is that it? Is that all? Don't forget to hit the like button, everybody.
Yeah.
And join us back next Tuesday for another live episode. And if you're not already subscribed, please do so. And if you weren't able to join the live chat, and just leave a comment down below. We love replying back to everybody.
We definitely do. Yeah. And tell your friends.
Tell your friends. And Joe the Barbarian, Chris Davis is a beautiful book. You're right. Unfortunately, I don't know if I would consider that part of horror, but it is a beautiful book. One of my favorite Grant Morrison books. We actually talked about that last night on Omni Bros, the other show I'm on. So, any other words, ladies?
Thank you guys for tuning in. We appreciate it as usual, and we'll catch you on the flip side.
That sounds good. Good night, everybody.
Yeah. Night, everyone.
Night.